2024. Do I have a motion to open?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are open. Can we rise for this pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. Okay. So on the main thing on the agenda tonight that we're going to cover is going to be 4 reserve fund transfers. Before we start that, I want to have our town administrator, Mr. Kelly, give us a budget update as to where we stand right now.
Mr. Chairman, and through you to the committee, the budget outlook is still very bleak. We started out at about $2,400,000 in deficit. We are down to, after Mr. Gasper and myself have gone through 20 plus budgets, cutting where we can, we are down to approximately $2 million. We have not dealt with education at all. Of that $2 million, deficit education is $1.14 million. Our non-departmental joint accounts, major is retirement and health insurance in those accounts. Health insurance alone is going up. Originally, we thought it would go up somewhere between 200 and 220,000. We've got it down to 160, and that's negotiating with the insurance company. As far as the other parts of government, you're looking at human services. We have a cut so that it's 39,000 below level funding from last year, so a negative 39,000. Culture and recreation, a positive 15,000, and this includes all of the collective bargaining raises. Public Works, we have a large increase in CMAS. We're still looking at some of the positions and the expenses there. Public safety, as you know, they settled the police contract. That's an extremely large amount. That'll be the last budget we go through, Mr. Gasper and I. And general government has an increase of somewhere between $50,000 to $75,000. That's all of your other agencies that you see here in Town Hall, Parting Way, etc. And that includes all collective bargaining raises. We're going to need help from the schools. We met with Old Colony last night. We definitely did a deep dive into their budget. In our discussion, Mr. Gaspar found a one-time cost that we might be able to take out of the operating budget that can help us substantially. It was a gem of a find on his part. It is not a rosy year, but even if we increase revenue, a couple $100,000. Unless Acushnet School Department substantially cuts their budget to a $300,000 to $375,000 increase, there's no way we're going to approach a balanced budget.
And originally, they had asked for, it was what, 1.2 or 1.3 increase?
1.2.
And then
1.2
there
over
was-
last year.
That was the preliminary starting point.
Yep.
Um,
And if you look at other towns in the area, some of the 495 towns started out with a $5 million deficit per town. They're cutting multiple positions in town government. Some of them are closing their police department's third shift, and they're laying off anywhere from 6 to a dozen education positions.
No.
We're trying to not eliminate positions, but maybe go half-time.
I know for the majority of the town government positions, you can't eliminate positions. There's one or two people in the entire division, since we're such a small town.
Correct.
And we don't have that luxury like some of these large towns out there of laying off people. It's just not feasible for us.
And if you lay people off,
You may
Or-
lose them, good.
or you even go half-time with someone, they're eligible for unemployment for that other half-time. So you have to do 3 entities to get the benefit for 2.
It's been my experience, you lay people off, you may not get them back.
Mhm.
And then you're faced with a whole new series of problems.
And we're still fighting to fill some of the positions we have vacant now.
Look, I mean, part of it's a result of a horrible economy, right, for the last 4 years.
And the state spending $1.5 billion on illegal immigrants.
Yeah, so it's,
It'll get them into May, and
You
then
can-
after that, they gotta need
you
more.
combine those factors, and, you know, no more government money coming in, right? Like the COVID money that was coming, because that was such a false sense of security, and that kind of buffered how bad the economy was and how it continued to be. But now that's all gone. Now this is really showing how bad things really are, and you can't make it up. I mean, it is what it is, right? And I said this before, the only variable we can control is what we spend. And, when we had our joint meeting a few weeks ago, I think I brought up the fact that, I don't know if it was 3-4 years ago, town meeting, I think the school added like 8 full-time positions, and then since then, there's been another 4, approximately. Those are a lot of positions to add, and there's consequences to that,
Well, in
financially.
our joint meeting, they said that their enrollment is actually down. So if the enrollment is down, I don't understand why we find the need to add all these extra
They
positions.
have teaching positions.
Well, and you have some non-teaching positions that are getting very big salaries with benefits. And I'm sorry, I still think some of those things are a luxury. I'll stick to that. I said it, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it over again. Some of those positions are luxury positions. I mean, you have mentors for first-time teachers. We have coaches in there. It's like, when is it going to stop? How many people do we need in the school department to
That
educate
aren't
these
teaching.
kids that aren't actually a science teacher,
Sure,
an English
right,
teacher, a
teachers.
math teacher? And I get it. Sometimes you need some paraprofessionals. Okay,
But they're not teachers,
No,
right? They
I
should
mean-
not be teaching classes.
I don't agree with having to have coaches teach teachers.
And multiple.
These teachers are highly educated, they went to school, got their degree. You know, everybody starts off at a certain point, and you get better as you go along, the more experience you get. It's like with anything, with any profession, right? I mean,
I didn't have a coach in my IT field.
You're really
a lot of
lucky.
professors, you'll have a mentor, right?
Yeah.
You have mentors, but why can't a vice principal act as a mentor
Yeah.
and help out teachers that need help? You know, I mean, in times like this, private sector businesses have to do more with less. And it's gonna have to be the same thing in the public sector. Otherwise, people's property taxes in this town are gonna get so high that people aren't gonna be able to live here anymore. And it's already getting to that point, as a matter, frankly.
But you're limited in how much you can go up in property taxes.
Well, right, and that's,
As far as the rate versus the value. The real problem here is you're looking at an average between 800,000 and $1 million increase in revenue every year that you've had. And part of that has been contributed to by the fact that the investment income included just banking some of the federal money that is earmarked for infrastructure repair. So you're not going to have that investment interest money coming in the future.
Yeah, so basically what we have now is just going to keep getting
And
worse.
you've been spending about $1.2 million additional a year, and you have revenue that's somewhere around the 800 to 900,000. So at some point, you're going to have to put the brakes on whether or not the state is putting money in. Or I've already told the board, June and July, we're going to be looking at every fee and permit price in the town versus the towns around here. And if that goes up, that will probably fill the gap of your investment interest income when the infrastructure money is actually spent. But it isn't going to increase your overall revenue. So it's time to tighten the belt.
yeah, there's no doubt. It has to be done.
So you're going to keep getting worse. This isn't going to stop.
No, and the problem at the state, and I've said this at a couple meetings already, is they're running huge deficits with the state pension fund, $35 billion right now.
Yep.
OPEB is another big one, 16 million and change. And then, you know, throw on funding illegal immigration. And from what I heard, the governor's already committed to another $1 billion for next fiscal year towards that. So how's that gonna help? How's that gonna help our town, the towns and the cities in this Commonwealth? I mean, this state is out of control. It's laughable when I hear some of these state politicians at a high level say they're looking forward to another 4 years of Biden in office, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, his economic policies are horrible, and what happens, we have problems at the top, and they trickle down to the state level. And, you know, we're right there with California and New York as far as the level of insanity when it comes to spending. I mean, it's just, it really is out of control. I don't even know what the answer is anymore. I mean, the only thing we can control is what we spend, and then if departments, they're not gonna care what we're gonna say, they're gonna go and try and do what they want on the town meeting floor, and we already know that.
But you can't pass anything other than a balanced budget. So if there's only X amount of dollars there, and you
Right,
either
you
have,
have a
you
department that
have
takes
to,
up, and you have a department that takes up almost 60% of the total town's budget. So that's where most of the flexibility has to come from, right?
That's where all the overage is coming from in terms of year-on-year increase. Majority of it. Takes up 60%, and what's the count,
I mean, what do you think was gonna happen when you added 12 to 14 positions over the last 3 to 4 years? What did you think was gonna happen to your budget, right?
and it's not gonna get any better next year. As far as revenue you can count on, your local receipts and your taxation. If you're going to rely on the state, that's only approximately 25% of your revenue.
I would venture to say that, based on what he's saying, that they're looking for another $1 billion for,
No, it says
Immigration.
three quarters of your revenue is local receipts or
right, but I'm saying
taxation.
coming from the state. If they're talking another $1 billion, we'll be in the same boat next year.
worse?
Yeah, well, whether you rely on the state or not, 3/4 of your revenue is taxation and local receipts. They are not going to go up that much. Taxation is limited, 2.5%,
Right.
plus new growth. Local receipts are, you're looking at, that's about 10% of your actual revenue.
So how do you, so some of these cities and towns could try to increase their local receipts by going up on the excise tax, right? Because the governor has given the authority to,
Yeah, but that's small.
it's small, but it's still something. I mean, that's, so the thing that drives me nuts is that's what their solution is to a lot of this stuff. Let's come up with new taxes that we can create.
Not
this, like-
spending, just.
Right, let's not
About
control
more means
spending,
to get money.
let's find a new tax that we can, slap on people. I mean,
But
it's just-
let's say for discussion purposes, you get $100,000 on a local excise tax. Well, if you get $1 million deficit, $100,000 is just spitting in the wind.
Mhm.
It's belt tightening, and you're gonna have to keep it for at least another year after that until things clarify, because even if you do fees and permit increases, it's going to take a year to collect that, to catch up where you're gonna be
Yeah.
able then to predict
And
it.
the new growth number, that's not gonna dramatically increase.
No,
Even if there is a change in November at the federal level, that's not gonna, it's not gonna happen right
the
away.
interest rates won't go
No,
down.
they're not gonna,
quick.
they're not gonna go down to the historic lows that they were before. They can't now, because, the economy's been so bad.
I mean,
The
there,
the big part of the problem is the energy sector, right? I mean, look at all these budgets. I look at all these budgets and I'm looking at the line items. I'm like, why is this budget up so? And I go to energy. It's almost doubled on a lot of these.
Just
Yeah,
look at
we've,
your own
uh,
energy bill.
Oh, I know.
but we've actually gone through those bills, and we've been, Mr. Gasper and the board has been successful in talking to the energy providers, and we've gone from almost double to approximately 30 to 40% increase.
It's the transmission fees, that's what's killer, it's not the producing.
delivery.
electricity. It's the delivery and the
Yeah.
transmission.
Well, that's what happens when you shut off the fossil fuel industry, right? I mean, what do you think's gonna happen? And then you take the strategic reserves and bring them down to a historic low. So there's like nothing in there. I mean,
Sell them off cheap and then buy them back twice as much.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
so let's just have gigantic wind turbines everywhere and solar panels on everything. Let's just do that.
I don't even begin on solar panels. The project at the school on the parking lot is canceled. The company's pulled out because they can't get connectivity to the grid. The grid doesn't have the
There you go.
connectivity
How many times have I
to
said,
even
how many
connect
times
the
have I said you're
the
putting the cart
solar
before the
arrays in a
horse?
bill.
When it comes, and that's, I'm not just picking on the school for
was
that.
wrong.
That's just in general with this whole green stuff, right? I mean, yeah, it's good to think about this stuff, but at the same time, you shouldn't shut off the spigot. That's hurting people, you know, financially.
The wind
How did they pay for
turbines
that?
take
Wasn't
more
that
energy
through
to
some
build
kind of,
and put
CEUs
out than it
that
actually
they use,
can
but
do.
the
one
It's
on-
useful, like-
what?
Those
The one
two
on
wind
the
turbines,
parking lot, they
those
have
things
paid
are an
for.
eyesore,
Yeah.
right?
But
On
they
the
Probably make
parking
a lot of
lot.
noise too. I'm glad I don't live near one, but I would
There's
imagine
a
they make a
different
decent amount of
solar
noise.
deal
But the amount
they
of energy
have,
it takes to produce it,
where they get
Wasn't
credit.
it actually in its
last year in the
lifetime
meeting?
makes less
Huh?
energy.
Didn't
Then
they,
it
wasn't
does
that
to
proposed
produce
as one of the things
Yeah,
last
one
year
of
in
the
the
things.
meeting?
so-
But that was for the one that they get
Gallons and
credits
gallons
for,
of
so
oil.
they
And it's
don't
not
pay the
recycled.
electric bill.
It's
Yeah.
fiberglass.
That's
No, I'm talking
different
about
from
I
the
know,
one
windows,
that was
yeah.
on.
But I mean, the
Boulevard.
blades, they're not recyclable.
Nothing on them is recyclable.
Well,
We're just
That's,
gonna get
we
our,
sound
we're gonna get
all
our heartburn
problems.
after all, aren't we?
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna rant tonight, but I'm sorry, it's hard not to. It's hard not to when we're presented with information like this and we have this huge deficit that we're facing, right? And, I mean, our concern is all the residents in this town
Mm-hmm.
and how it's gonna impact their households and their ability to run their household financially.
Let's hope they show up come town meeting.
That's right. So, I mean, every tax-paying resident in this town should show up at this year's town meeting.
Unfortunately, we probably have 20 people that are watching the broadcast of the
Yeah.
meeting.
Because otherwise, you'll be crying later, probably. All right, let's get in, we're gonna take up the 4 reserve fund transfers that we gotta take care of. So we'll start with police department, the phone system.
the phone system went down. We have taken the old phone system, junked it. They are now in the town phone system.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just had to buy some phones that would connect, have the work done, and now we're all one system, not two systems.
That has nothing to do with the 911.
No.
No.
That's just
Internal.
phones.
Yeah.
How many
Remember, right,
extensions
the police
was that,
chief
you
was
know?
talking about how they were constantly going down, they couldn't be repaired anymore, right?
Yeah.
They were so outdated, parts weren't available for
Yep.
it.
I'd like to point out that the phone system is, just the phone system alone is $3,900. So,
Yeah, so the total of this transfer is $5,849, which would come out of the reserve fund. And it's going, to the police department for the new phone system.
What do we have in there? Do we know? The reserve fund? If we approve these?
I think the only previous one, I'd have to go up and get it off the top of my head, but the only previous one we've done is,
I think we still have a decent balance.
yeah, it's, I think at least 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
It has to be paid, I made a motion.
I'll
yep, so
second
we
it.
got a motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Okay, motion passes.
Can't have a police department without phones.
Yeah, it's kind of important, right? You need a phone.
Yeah.
And it's not a surprise, the police chief told us that
Yeah.
all the details on it, it needed to get done.
All right, next one is
expand on that.
technology. So coming from the reserve fund in the amount of $11,694.10 would be for a new email hosting service. So the previous email provider could no longer provide their services. With this new provider, the town will be provided with enhanced service. This cost brings this organization to $8,007.46, and the FY25 budget will need this to be accounted for.
I can expand on this a little bit.
Sure.
So I have a little bit of insight. So basically, the town's emails provider notified the town last month that their email service was being shut down. So the town is now subscribed to the Microsoft 365 product, which includes the office packages for all the heads, full-time staff, I believe. And then there's email accounts for the people that are not full-time, so there's some benefit to this. Transition's pretty smooth. It's a service that everybody uses for the most part.
Other towns use it?
Yeah, I mean, businesses, yeah.
It brings us into
Into the 21st century, it really.
Did they say why the previous provider could not?
To the best of my
provide the service
knowledge, they were retiring. the
Yeah, they were
service.
getting out of the business.
Yeah,
anymore?
so it's basically puts it on par to what other businesses and towns and stuff.
Were we on a contract with them? Is there any, do we get any money back?
No.
No?
No,
They can rent to own.
Yeah.
yeah, we can put your own mail server in.
I'll make a
That's
motion.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
fine. Aye.
No one's opposed, all right, this motion passes unanimously. Next one is from the Board of Selectmen. And so coming out of the reserve fund, two separate line items. They're both for the same thing, different years. So annual report 2021 artwork and printing for $4,060, and the annual report 2022 artwork and printing for $4,290 for a total of $8,350.
As we transitioned with staff and had part-time staff after Lisa left, we're catching up.
Right.
And we're just making sure that every year the annual report will be there for those years. And part of it also was we changed printer to get a constant product. I think it's the best way to describe it.
Consistent.
And quality.
Continuity.
Make a motion?
A
Second.
motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one
I
opposed?
apologize that we didn't catch up until now, but as you know, we're playing catch-up in a number of offices, town offices, that we don't have staff in.
When do we do, that was 21 and 22, when do we get 23s done?
It's a calendar,
Yeah.
the annual report is calendar year. I don't know why they do that, but that's the way it is.
Okay.
So you gotta wait for 23 to be over, everything to be closed, and then they start writing.
It'd be nice if we could have squeezed it into this year's budget.
The last transfer is for the town clerk's office. It's for,
A new folk,
yeah, it's called a Martine Yale folding machine. So this is, the town clerk's office's folding machine no longer works and has become obsolete. So this folding machine will increase efficiency with the annual mailings and elections. It's in the amount of $1,295.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I mean, we were at one point, they were using staff time to fold stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this maybe a month ago, so. Doesn't make sense to pay somebody by the hour when the machine can do it so much more efficiently.
I would disagree to some degree.
Just
For envelopes.
to add to our budget woes, the post office is going up a nickel.
So that's 73 cents.
Let's hope people fill out their mail-in ballots properly.
Yeah.
So we're not, having a lot of redos.
Don't get reduced, you get thrown out.
So as, we were planning on starting our budget deliberations tonight, going through all the so-called easy budgets, but
We
those.
want to reserve those if, let's
So-
say the budget's 15,000 and we want to take
Yeah,
500 out of it, we'd like to have that opportunity.
so
And
the
that,
board, so the Board of Selectmen needs a little bit more time.
we're rolling coins, is what we're doing. Trying to find savings.
Yeah,
I hope that gets out to the town. Rolling coins. None of these anonymous
I saw-
posts
I
on
just-
social media about finding money. They've
Yeah, I
got
was
to have it
looking
somewhere.
at, I was looking at some of the budgets, earlier today, and I came across the miscellaneous budget, and, they had the celebrations line item in there, so I noticed that one of them was like cut pretty significantly. And I'm like, well, this is probably what's gonna have to happen, we gotta find every dollar we can, right? So, if you don't see a building decorated as much during the holidays, that's
Mhm.
probably gonna be why, right? I mean, we're scraping by here, so.
With the time frame that we're facing, do you think it's a possibility that we may have to maybe schedule more than just a Wednesday night?
It's a
It
possibility.
is,
We'll get the town budgets done, and we'll take them down as far as we can, but at that point, if the schools don't take down
I
budgets
mean, if
and
we had to meet twice in a week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
As
fine
long
with
as you have, what,
it.
48 hours, right, to post. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to meet on a Friday night. I mean, unless Pete's gonna bring another gourmet meal.
Listen, I'm available, I'll cook, I don't mind doing it, but.
You're bringing the corners, right?
Yeah, we'd have to have some innovation with that.
if you feed them, they will be here.
Maybe that's what we need to do for town meeting, right? I make a motion, we fit somewhere in the budget some food for refreshments for town meeting.
No, we ask for donations.
Potluck, right? Everybody bring.
Arms for the poor.
That's gonna raise our finance committee's budget up.
Yeah.
I mean, could we do like a Tuesday, Thursday instead of a Wednesday? I mean, would that be easier for people?
I can't do it on Tuesday, I'm all done.
We're meeting Monday on the budgets, the
you
board of
can't,
selectmen,
As long as we have a quorum here.
during the day.
Yeah.
So I think next week, obviously I'm not gonna be around.
But if we could, if you wanted to meet and we go through what you call the level funded easy
Right.
budgets,
Yeah, that's what.
and we've cut stuff out of there, there's only so far you can go before you just have to turn around and say, all right, then you have to eliminate that budget totally. I mean, if it's a $8,000 budget, you can't cut it without looking at it and saying, maybe you have to eliminate it. Or eliminate it for this year.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope, because once you're
Yeah,
there,
because now you start,
Mhm.
So let me just look at my phone, my calendar here, just for dates and stuff. So you have to have everything ready for print by May 6th, right? So if we met next week, next Wednesday, like we normally would on the 24th, that following week would be the week where we'd have to potentially get 2 meetings in. If we could, if we need to.
so you're talking the week of the
So-
29th.
So let's say next Wednesday.
Could I, next Wednesday, present all of the typical articles for the warrant and all those type of budgets we just talked
Level
about?
funded, yeah.
Yeah, and then.
And get those out of the
Then
way?
you guys can take up a vote on all those.
yeah, the
Get
placeholder
those
stuff.
done, and then you're saving public safety and education for the last meeting, which I'll be here for that one.
And the collective bargaining articles, and we are also submitting a local meals tax article.
Again, I'm trying that again.
How much, I mean.
About
yeah, so
100,000.
So here we go, another let's tax.
Well, every town around here
I know.
has one.
Yeah.
I've heard it, yeah.
Every single one. DOR says in the whole area, we're the only one.
How much revenue is that gonna generate approximately?
About 100,000.
Okay, well,
But that's not all coming
The
from
purpose for
us.
that is for OPEB.
no, I know.
Anybody who comes from out of town. that-
Right.
The purpose for that is for OPEB, correct? The meal tax?
No, this is on top of the state meal tax.
This would go to the town.
Yeah.
It would go as tax revenue from the state.
30th and then the 2nd, the Tuesday,
For
Thursday.
me personally, I would rather do 2 meetings rather than a long one.
I agree with
It's
you.
easier.
Just two
Yeah.
more meetings.
2 meetings rather than, if we
Rather
have
than
to
one
do
big
2
one.
in a week, I'd rather do 2 in a week
Oh.
than one very long
Yeah.
one.
Well, I think next week, if you guys
Well,
can get
we'll do
through,
the 24th next week,
if
that
you
should be
can, if you
fine.
can get through all the easy stuff and the articles, then the only thing left is gonna be the school budget, police, what else?
In the art.
DPW, it really is, CMAS is the large,
How can you reduce that?
you can't.
You can't. So so you could actually vote on CMAS next week,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Here's my thought. There's a chance we might need to have the time. Why don't we schedule that Tuesday, Thursday, the 30th and the 2nd? And if we come to find
Well-
out we don't need both of them, we can always cancel one, but at least there enough time for her to put notifications out and for us to plan.
Okay.
Selectmen might meet, because it's a Tuesday.
Well, we have to meet
they
somewhere
on
else.
Tuesdays.
When?
Meet upstairs.
The 30th or the
Yeah.
2nd?
They're meeting on the
We should do that for
30th,
deliberations
but
anyway.
Yeah, so they're already meeting on the 30th.
So they're
Selectmen.
meeting on the 30th.
Right, which would give us a second for anything that they may finalize on that. But I'm just saying, if we schedule the 2 meetings like we're talking about,
Mhm.
at least they're on record, we can plan around it, and if we don't need it, we cancel one of them off.
Yeah.
If we do need it, it's already there.
And you guys are gonna go through quite a bit between now and next Wednesday, right?
oh, we're meeting Monday on a lot of the budget.
Right, so you're gonna have a lot of this stuff narrowed down.
We'll have all of the budgets that are, there's no room to go any further, done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so,
As long as the budget still exists, you know. If, I don't know what you're gonna do if, because the Board of Selectmen has to submit a balanced budget to town meeting. So I don't know what you're going to do if the school does not cooperate.
If the school doesn't cooperate, the selectmen still have to make the final decision whether the school likes it or not, right?
Yep.
So if we've cut
Ultimately,
everything
it'll
we
go
can-
down to the voters. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why we need them to show up.
But I mean, if we can't cut anything else out without losing complete services, then they've got no choice at that point.
We will, at the end of this fiscal year, present a balanced budget. It probably won't be to anyone's liking, but we'll present it to the voters, a balanced budget.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll let the cards fall where they will, and,
well, that's what we're gonna have to do.
yeah.
And,
It's not gonna be to our liking either, that's the
Right.
killer. Everybody seems to think that,
no, they think,
Yeah.
I mean, I think people forget that we're all residents in this town. And.
Our
and we
taxes
don't wanna-
go up like everybody else's.
Exactly. I mean, we're volunteering our time for the betterment of the town and the residents that live in it.
Yep.
We're not trying to hurt anybody, or it is what it is. We look at the numbers, and if it looks like, you know, a department's spending too much money, we're gonna call it out,
Yep.
like it or not. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. All right, so going back to meeting dates. So next Wednesday, the 24th, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could, like Pete suggested, tentatively, 30th, and then, the 2nd, May 2nd.
I know
Or-
I can't make the 2nd, but I'm just one person, so.
Okay,
um,
but, I mean, if you got, if you get through a lot of stuff this coming week, and then come next week, you get through most of it, then we might be done
Just do one day. Then
on the 20, what date was that, the 30th? Then we might not even need it May 2nd anyway,
Right.
so it'll be done on April 30th. So it's either that, or we take the chance and we just keep it on May 1st. I mean, I don't know how many hours it's gonna take to, if we have 2 budgets, we have the school budget and public safety. I mean, how long are we gonna deliberate on those things?
I mean, and when we're down to that point, there really isn't gonna be much
No,
deliberation left to
there's
do.
probably not gonna be much, because we're gonna know how much of a deficit we're facing at that point.
Yep.
So,
Do we know, the school committee wise, like, when, are they having another
I
budget
don't
subcommittee
know.
meeting?
I've been blinders on going through
Sure.
the town side.
I mean, hopefully, the school committee's gonna.
I'm just thinking if anything changes, so the Board of Selectmen's meeting on the 30th, they may finalize a couple things on that date. If we're meeting on the same date, we're not gonna be privy to that information.
Well, Jamie should be here, right?
No, he would be meeting with the board.
No, the board will meet 4 to 6.
Oh, okay.
6:30 at the latest.
That's
It
right.
could, could be a perfect schedule. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
okay.
fall right
walk
behind
from
it.
one
Yeah.
board to the
All
other.
right. Okay, so
That's
that's what we're
Kevin's
gonna do. So Kathy, we'll have that May 2nd date as like you can put like a question mark next to that, because we don't know if we're gonna necessarily need it. So the next 2 meeting dates would be Wednesday, April 24th, and then Tuesday, April 30th.
But if we could have on the 24th a lineup of the budgets that we know that we'll be able
It's
to hit.
Monday, I'll have Sydney send a list over to Kathy of
Yeah, so it's like,
everything
yeah, if you
they've
can send
done.
out the email with the attachment of all the,
Budgets that
so
we're gonna
then, so
hit,
the FinCom,
articles.
so the FinCom members know, all right, I gotta make sure I bring these budgets with me, because these are the ones we're doing tonight.
Yep.
And just keep it simple that way.
Well,
Right, Mr. St. Jean?
it's not
I'm
even
okay
really
with
those
PDFs.
budgets, they're all gonna be
Good.
changed and altered. We're gonna need new ones. Know what I mean? They've already changed what we have.
No, I know. So this-
We'll send each department's budget individually and then a recap sheets.
That'll be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm okay with PDFs. That's fine.
All right.
No, I meant, we'll just, each department's budget, just like they submitted it, we'll submit one of those, and then we'll have a recap of the different parts of government, general government, and human services on the top, like the cover sheet. And then I'll hopefully be able to, if there's not a lot of changes, fill out the the warrant budget, which, is salaries expense for the 2 years. Because we'll just, while we're in the meeting, we'll just have the laptops up.
All right, under, does anybody have any old business? Under new business, I happened to be watching the Board of Selectmen's meeting from yesterday, and it looks like we're gonna be getting a new FinCom member. Someone had some interest, and a gentleman by the name of Christopher D'Arujo has been appointed to the Finance Committee. So that's gonna round out our committee. We'll have a full complement of members, which is good. So that's a good thing. We haven't had a full complement of on a finance committee in a long time. It's been numerous years. So that's a good thing. And,
Hey, the more volunteers, the better.
Is he bald-headed?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's, I don't know the status of his
Former
hair.
qualification. Unless you're a female.
I mean, well, Eric's got a full head of hair. He's,
I could do a sympathetic shave and just,
yeah,
fit
summertime,
right in.
summertime is
Don't let him lie, it's a toupee, it's a toupee.
I'll get one of those, the cone head things and just
Yeah.
put it over my head.
You'd look good in a
We have
mohawk.
to, motion?
we already covered the next meeting date, so we're good.
You had new business, I had a question.
Oh, you, okay.
And it's just because it's been up, it was something I had asked, and Selectman Gaspar had said he was gonna have you work on it, see if there was any movement with the beach sticker in Fairhaven.
We are in discussions right now.
So for those that are watching, it was up on social media.
Yeah,
We have a reciprocal agreement with
With
New
the-
Bedford, but we haven't with Fairhaven, even though we have started combining some of our services between
we're
towns.
looking to, for Fairhaven, with the resident rates at the golf course and beach stickers and shellfish permits from Fairhaven.
Because I know their beach stickers are limited and they go on sale in a couple of weeks. I
And
thought I'd ask.
it's, well, you also are limited as far as how many people you can put on the golf course at any one time.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.